nation. I'm staying down and patient as a child all the while I'm waiting. Remember not the sins of my youth. Lead me in your truth and he'll give your soul ease. The earth shall remain inherited by a seed. The secret of YAH'S who fears Elohim. A fool believes everything and to every word spoken. You can't take heed unless you hear somebody curse. You know you did the same thing. That's why I'm begging y'all for mercy and his love and kindness, cause I know that I ain't worthy.
Upon me, confronting me, and now we flee from fallen leaves. The grinding grief from all the blood, how people sing, and now we cry, where is the word from Elohim? And so we said that we are his wives, to be submissive, but we dismissed it. It is of this reason we have fallen victim to the lies that your root will prey and pursue. Rebellious of his son, forgotten that he is one. Broken the holy ordinance, rejection of reproof. Then acknowledge what we do. Now we return back to the truth.
YAH'S word is the truth. YAH'S decrees is the proof. Local 12 just released the scoop. It's the summer of Sam. They calling his hand. Made us worship the son of man. And somehow that the moon, they stole our style and gave it to Rothschild. Now we exalt the vow, but hit the turnstile. YAH'S now be set the crooked things straight. Praise YAH from the rising to the evening to the closing the gates. Exposing the fake. YAH give the truth a daybreak. Now the liars can't escape and the haters can't relate to the light that truth make. See the wicked's pride deflate. Ye adore YAH, magnify YAH, cause he's great.
All YAH give is truth. All YAH teach is truth. All YAH bring is truth. Nothing but the 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 truth.
Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah. Giving all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yahweh. It is a great honor and a great blessing to be able to give praises to the Most High and the little sanctuary that Yah has set for his people. My name is Mowreh ObediYAH Israel of the house of Yisrael, located in 1907 Vine Street. And we're giving all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yahweh, our Elohim. Now, who is Yah? Well, Yahweh is the creator of the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Yahweh is the Savior and the Redeemer of not just Israel, but of the entire world. And Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver, and Yahweh is our king, and he alone will save us. And this is nothing but the truth. So we give all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yahweh. And let me say shalom to all of our people and listeners via the internet, whether it be Facebook, Blog Talk, or YouTube. For we know that the only reason why you're tuned in is because of your love and your fear towards the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yahweh. And what will we be discussing this evening? All throughout the world, the most precious thing to get, the most precious thing to obtain, the most precious thing to receive is the wisdom of Yahweh. And I'm finding this out every day. It is no wonder that the Most High has in his instructions that wisdom is the principal thing. So it's the chief thing. Because in wisdom, you'll receive the knowledge and how to do things. You'll receive the knowledge and how to handle situations. You'll be able to move throughout the world, throughout the entire earth, and know how to properly use judgment. But Yahweh has to be the focal point. Yahweh has to be the originator of our wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And if it comes from any other source, if it comes from any other doctrine, if it comes from anything else outside of what Yahweh has ordained, then what will belong to us is what the title of this evening's lesson is. And that is confusion. And all throughout the world, there's confusion. There's confusion amongst the nations, and there's confusion in the midst of Yahweh's people. And why are we confused? And why are the nations confused? And how do you combat and how do you rid yourself of this confusion? Well, we're going to go through some scriptures this evening, and we're going to show exactly what confusion is and what it looks like and why is it rampant in our community. And you must know, as we have been and as we've learned, that everything is a spirit. Wisdom is a spirit, understanding is a spirit, and confusion is a spirit. So how does the spirit of confusion fall upon us as a nation? And what does it look like? Well, we're going to go through some scriptures, because in order to understand what confusion will truly do to a nation, we must first be humbled enough to know that confusion belongs unto us, because we've disobeyed the words of the Most High. And Yahweh is going to surely punish his people, because Yahweh said, "You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore will I punish you for all of your iniquities." And our people have committed sins. We've committed transgressions. We've committed iniquities against the Most High. And this, as a result, is why we're in the very state that we are in. And I said we must first humble ourselves before the Most High to know that this is upon us, to know that we are in this state, because that's what the humble will do. If you turn with me to the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter. In the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 5th verse. In Daniel 9 and verse 5, it reads, I'm going to start at verse 4, so we can get a full digestion of how we are to be humbled and humble ourselves before Yah. And it reads, "And I prayed unto Yahweh my Elohim, and made my confession, and said, O Master, the great and dreadful Elohim, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned, and have committed iniquity, and have done wickedly, and have rebelled, even by departing from your precepts, and from your judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto your servants, the prophets, which spake in your name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. O Yahweh, righteousness belongs unto you, but unto us confusion of faces, as at this day, to the men of Yehudah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Yisrael that are near, and that are afar off, through all the countries, whither you have driven them, because of their trespass, that they have trespassed against you. O Yahweh, unto us belongs confusion of face, to our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against you. And to Yahweh our Elohim belongs mercy and forgiveness, though we have rebelled against him. So this was the prayer. This was the supplication made by the meek, made by the humble, to know that the only reason why confusion of face is upon the people is because we've rebelled against the Most High. And it don't matter whether you was in the land or whether you scattered abroad. Confusion of face belongs unto us, because the only reason why we were kicked out of the land was because we rebelled. And the only reason why confusion of face is upon us today is because we rebelled against the Most High. See, Yahweh going to always be consistent. Yahweh is always going to be 100%. Yahweh is going to always be Elohim. He's going to always be our judge. So for every action, there's a reaction. And what has happened is, since we've rebelled against the Most High, well, we rejected wisdom. We told wisdom, you can get on out of here, and you can take understanding with you. And oh, by the way, you can take the knowledge of Elohim with you, because that's not going to benefit me in the world today. I need knowledge to know how to make money. I need knowledge to know how to pull in women. I need knowledge on how to have my closet full of shoes and clothes. I need knowledge to know how to make my bank account go from 0 to 600,000. That's the knowledge I need. But the knowledge of Elohim, I don't need that, because that just makes you feel good. And because we have rejected the knowledge of the Most High, that's why confusion on our face is on our face today. That's why no matter how many sheepskin you get, you can't seem to get no peace. No matter how many colleges you attend, you can't bring forth no unity. And no matter how much money you make, you can't get the people of Yahweh to act right. And all of it's confusion. And the further and further away we turn from the Most High, the more confused we get. So now you in a confused state to say, well, maybe if I make more money, maybe they'll hearken. Maybe if I put on one more diamond chain, maybe they'll hearken. Maybe if I pull up in one more Rolls Royce, maybe they'll hearken. But all of these vanities fall strictly to the ground. Because if you're not humble enough to know that the only reason why we're caught up in this confusion, the only reason why we're caught up in this confusion is because we rebelled against the Most High. And it don't matter where we've rebelled against the Most High, not only in captivity, we rebelled against the Most High in the land, which is why we were brought to captivity. And if you don't believe that we have to keep the laws of the Most High, that we don't have to keep the statutes and judgments of the Most High, well, just look at what the results bring forth. Turn with me to the book of Ezra, the 9th chapter. And in the book of Ezra, the 9th chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 7th verse. In Ezra 9:7, it reads, "Since the days of our fathers have we been in a great trespass unto this day. And for our iniquities have we, our kings, and our priests, been delivered into the hands of the kings of the land, to the sword, to captivity, and to a spoil, and to confusion of face, as it is this day. And now for a little space, grace have been showed from Yahweh, our Elohim, to leave us a remnant to escape, and to give us a nail in his holy place, that our Elohim may lighten our eyes, and give us a little reviving in our bondage. For we were bondmen, yet our Elohim have not forsaken us in our bondage, but have extended mercy unto us in the sight of the king of Persia, to give us a reviving, to set up the house of our Elohim, and to repair the desolations thereof, and to give us a wall in Yehudah and in Jerusalem. So even in captivity, you got to be humble to the fact to know that we only here in captivity, we're only being oppressed, we're only being vexed, is because of our trespassing against the laws, statutes, and judgments of Yah. And if we had not turned our backs from the Most High, had we not turned our backs from the laws of the Most High, and had we not hearkened to these nations that's not even serving the Most High, we wouldn't have this confusion of face. But if you want to get this spirit of confusion off of you, if you want to get this spirit of rebellion off of you, then you have to replace it with something. You have to replace your works of wickedness with works of righteousness. Why? Because that is judgment. And that is the judgment of the Most High. You know why Yahweh is righteous? Because all of his works are right. So if Yahweh did one wrong act, then all his works would no longer be right. But since Yahweh is so focused on righteousness, since Yahweh is focused on holiness, Yahweh knows that he's not going to slip, because he wants all his works to be glorified. He wants all his words to be praised. So he don't have time for the vanity. He don't have time for the foolishness. But we will entertain it. And not only will we entertain it, we will run to it. And that is the reason why confusion of face is upon us today. Because we haven't hearkened to instructions. Why do you think Yahweh gave us a book? Why do you think Yahweh gave us laws, statutes, and judgments? So that we may follow after righteousness. Turn with me to the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter. And in the book of Proverbs, the 1st chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 5th verse. And it reads, "A wise man will hear and will increase in learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel, to understand the proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings." And then it says, "The fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instructions of your father, and forsake not the law of your mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace upon your head, and a chain about your neck." So you won't need to go to Jacob the jeweler. You don't need to go to Tri-State Gold and have it look like you got it going on. Once you're able to hearken to instructions, once we're able to hearken to the wisdom, understanding, to know how to interpret the Proverbs, which is the book of wisdom, which is the Torah of wisdom, man, that will have you shining brighter than any chain you can get out of any jewelry store, any Rolex that you could wear upon your wrist, any diamond that you could put in your mouth. If you want to learn how to spit jewels, then all you have to do is learn and apply the words of Yahweh. And you will shine brighter than anything on the face of this earth. You will shine so bright that nations will come to your light. But when you say, I don't got time for that, I don't got time to be in that book all day. Matter of fact, I don't put religion to the side. I don't follow after religion. So therefore, I'm not following after that book. Well, that's fine. You can make that decision. But just know you're going to move through the world with confusion all on your face. And it's going to be all in your works. You know why you caught in the land? You know why you're doing works of confusion? Do you know what the word Babylon means? Well, Babylon means confusion. So anytime you imitate, mimic the acts of your captivity, that's all you showing forth is your confusion. That's why confusion of face is upon Yah's people today. That's why confusion of face is upon the nations today. Because they're not dedicating their works to the Most High. And when you're not dedicating your works to the Most High, you're not even thinking about the Most High. And if you're not thinking about the Most High, you sure not meditating on working for the Most High. So all of your works will become vain. All of your works will become absolutely worthless. See, the problem is our people chase after the dainties. Our people think that the prize is what the world can see. See, just like when Yahweh sent the king, he sent the prophet to look for a king. And he brought all the people he brought forth the sons of Jesse that looked apart. And Yahweh had to put wisdom on them and say, look, see how you looking and how I'm looking is totally different. See, because man will look on the outward appearance, but Yahweh gonna judge the heart. Yahweh looking at the works of a man. Yahweh is looking at the works of a woman. See, it don't matter how many fringes you got on, how many chains that say praise Yah, and how many shirts that say praise Yah. At the end of the day, is that manifested in your works? Is it manifested in your words? Or are you caught up in, I got to get this raise so I can get this car, so I can go out and floss and show the people I'm the man? Well, this is exactly why confusion is upon our face. Turn with me to the book of Proverbs, the 8th chapter. Because the main thing that we should be looking at, the main things that we should be looking for, is the main things that we mainly ignore. In the book of Proverbs, the 8th division, I'm going to begin reading at the very first verse. And it reads, does not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice? She stands in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the path. She cries at the gates, at the entry of the city, and at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O man, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. O you simple, understand wisdom, and you fools, be you of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. How many of our people thinking like this today? Or you can't wait to speak abomination. You can't wait to tell bear. You can't wait to slander. But when you at the house of wisdom, you know you at something that's sacred. You know you somewhere, it's like when you go to someone's home, they got a real fancy home, but they got rules. And your parents or your authoritarian, they tell you, look, you better act like you know where you at. And that's how it is. When you at Wisdom House, you better act like you know where you at. You can't just utter anything, speak any words, act any type of way, because you in the house of wisdom. So matter of fact, you want to let your words be few. And all you want to do is just look at the scenery and catch on to as many words as you possibly can. And that's somewhere where you want to be every day. And once you make this a priority, once you make this an importance, then you won't have no time to speak vanity. You won't have time to speak abominably. You won't have no conversations or have any works where the Most High is not invited. You'll be conscious of every time you go live on Facebook or Instagram or every time you out and about in the streets, because you're like, man, I just done came from the house of wisdom. I can't be out here acting any type of way. Just like when you were a child and you out in the streets and the neighbor would see you, they'd be like, hold on, ain't you so-and-so, son? Your mama know you out here acting like this, talking like this? Well, that's how Yahweh has heaven and earth recording our actions. Like, how in the world can you come from my sanctuary? How can you say you coming from the house of wisdom and behave yourself so foolishly? Come from the house of wisdom and allow abominations to be spoken from your mouth. But let's continue reading. It says in verse 7. Well, in verse 6, it says, hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness, and there is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understand, and right to them that finds knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. And that's all our people trying to get, is a piece of silver, a piece of gold. And what will you give up for it? Righteousness, speaking right things. You will even try to justify it like, well, look, that's cool and all, but I got bills to pay. I got responsibilities. I know I'm an Israelite. I know I got to serve Yahweh, but I also got to get this money, baby. I got to get it. And right now, works of the Most High just going to have to wait, because I got to take care of my household. Well, no wonder it's so much chaos going on. No wonder why it's so much confusion going on. Because you've been at the house of wisdom, or claim you've been at the house of wisdom, and learned and applied absolutely nothing but vanity, which is something that's not even found in the house of wisdom. And then it says in verse 10, receive my instructions and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. And then it says, for wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. So I don't care what you got. You can say, man, I got a Rolex. Cost me $75,000. You see that Ferrari parked outside? That cost me $250,000. You see this nice house? Cost me $800,000. Man, you see these shoes? $300. Pants, $400. Shirt, $600. Chains, about $100. And be like, man, you shining. That's what the world would say. Man, look at you shining. Man, I got to get like you. But then say, look, let me ask you a question, brother. Let me ask you a question, sister. Do you know the fourth commandment? Nah, man, I don't know none of that. Well, can you tell me the fifth everlasting covenant? Man, I can't tell you that. I don't know. No, I can't tell you that. Well, brother, sister, tell me this. How many days In a month is it? Psh, come on, man. You got a calendar like I got, man. 28, 29, 30, 31. But like, brother, sister, let me ask you a question. When does a day start? Come on, man. We all know a day starts at midnight. All these jewels and all these dainties and absolutely no wisdom. You might as well be butt naked with dust covering your body and flies in your face. Because that's how you looking in the eyes of the Most High. Now, you may look impressive to the world, but in the eyes of the Most High, you look just as confused. And Yahweh is telling you, go to the house of wisdom. Yahweh is telling you, hearken to my instructions. Yahweh is saying, listen to the words of the words that I give to my servants. And they're constantly being ignored. And that's why we're constantly having confusion upon our face. Turn with me to the book of Proverbs, the 14th chapter. Because it's important to know, why is there so much confusion throughout the world? Why isn't everyone on the same level? Why isn't everyone serving Yahweh in the same way? Why is it some that's more advanced than others? Because some are not even trying to even find out the address to where wisdom lies. Let's all follow after and hearken to it. And you just got to know where you at. You've been in this knowledge for 5, 15, 20 years. And you know the same exact amount of knowledge as you did before you walked in, when you walked into the doors. That's something you must consider. Well, how much of am I stopping by the house of wisdom? How diligent am I in the business of the Most High? How diligent am I trying to witness for the Most High? And I guarantee you, if you consider, that you will see why you're stagnant in your understanding, why you're stagnant in your wisdom, why you're stagnant in knowledge. Because it says this in the book of Proverbs, the 14th chapter and the 8th verse. It reads that the wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. That's it. That's all they want to do. That's all the fool want to do is deceive you. So they'll come to class, they'll come into the sanctuary, and they'll have a pen and pad, and they'll act like they studious. They act like that they taking and writing every word. They taking every note, hanging on to every word, because all that is the look. But once you get them outside the sanctuary, and once you start having the conversation with them, all you start hearing is a bunch of folly. All you start seeing is a bunch of deceit. You say, hey, man, how'd you enjoy so-and-so's class? Yeah, it was cool, man, but did you see that one sister? Woo, man. Be like, well, what did you get out of the so-and-so class? Man, it was cool, but, man, did you see dude, though? You see how he buttoned up his shirt? That's everything about you was just folly. Everything about you is deceit. But the wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way. You know that if Yahweh says to seek wisdom and you're not getting it, then you know it must be something that you're not doing. It must be something that you're not obtaining. So humble yourself before the Most High. Because if you don't, all that will belong unto you is confusion of face. And our people think they got it down pat. Our people are some of the most religious, spiritual people that you will ever run into, but don't know the first thing about the Most High. I was having a conversation with one of my brothers, and he was saying, man, I'm looking and I'm realizing how much people actually don't know the law. And that's the truth. And not just the laws of Yah. They don't know they don't know laws of any factor. They just move through life lawless. Because why? You have no structure. You haven't been hearkening to instructions. You're not seeking to hearken to instructions. Matter of fact, you say, I know it all. All you got to do is talk to a Christian. Ask them how many times do they read their book. And the vast majority will tell you, I don't read it none. But when you try to have a discussion about spirituality and about the Most High, all of a sudden, they're a scholar. And they bring it forth absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing to the table. You talk to our people, and they act like the Most High just comes down and talk to them daily. It's like the Most High just stopped the world and say, no, I'm coming down to talk to you. And they always, man, the Most High talked to me. The Most High revealed to me. The Most High showed me. And when you start saying, well, show me what Yahweh has showed you, they can prove and back up absolutely nothing. So if Yahweh is working with you, like you say he is, if Christ is the way, like our people will say he is, then why is confusion a face belonging unto you? Why is it when it's a question asked about righteousness, you can't answer it honestly? Because you don't even know that confusion of face is upon you. That's how confused you are. Turn with me to the book of Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 20th verse. In Deuteronomy 32 and 20, it reads, and he said, and this is Yahweh, I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very froward generation, children in whom there is no faith. So Yahweh said he going to hide his face to see what our end would be. Well, how so many people talking to the Most High, communicating and being taught by the Most High, when Yahweh said he done hid his face? Oh, he hid his face from us, but he just talking to you. And he trying to tell you to bring forth a message to the world that can't be proven at all. This is outright foolishness. But let's continue reading. It says, they have moved me to jealousy with that which is no Elohim. Yeah, we moved the Most High to jealousy by listening to T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. We moved Yahweh to jealousy by listening to all these philosophers that bring forth absolutely no words of Yahweh, but they speak good. They have proper diction. They dress good. Yahweh said we moved him to jealousy with that which is not an Elohim. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. You thinking that what you doing is of Yah. You think that what you doing is of the Most High. And Yahweh said that all it is angering him with our vanities. But look at the judgment that Yahweh will render. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. So Yahweh's anger is so hot, it's setting on fire the very foundations of the earth. But Yahweh said, now you don't provoke me to anger with your vanities. Now I'm going to provoke you to anger with a people that's not a people. I'm going to provoke you to anger with a foolish nation. And you know how we being provoked to anger? We going out and vote. We going out, we marching. We going out and we thinking that our job's going to bring us salvation. We going out thinking that I got to get with this woman. She going to bring me salvation. I got to get with this man. He going to bring me salvation. Man, I got to get this house. It's going to bring me salvation. I got to drive this car. It's going to bring me salvation. And even when you get it, you still get no wisdom. You still get no understanding, and you still get no knowledge. Because you listening and hearkening to the ways of the nation that's foolish. And you know if they foolish, you know what's on their faces? Confusion. So if you doing things just like how they doing it, walking like how they walking it, talking it how they talking it, then guess what you talking? Utter confusion. Guess how you look? Utterly confused. And you know why people confused. Because when a messenger of Yahweh come to the people and bring you thus saith Yahweh, they get more rejected than someone that would just stand up and say, I'm not sent by the Most High, but I got a message. People will be all ears. And this is why you see in the conditions in our communities that you see in. Turn with me to the book of 2 Chronicles, the 20th chapter. And in the book of 2 Chronicles, the 20th chapter, and the 20th verse, it reads, And they rose early in the morning and went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, Jehoshaphat stood and said, Hear me, O Yehudah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem. Believe in Yahweh, your Elohim, so shall you be established. And believe in his prophets, so shall you prosper. So when you believe in Yahweh, you're established. So you don't have no problems when you having the discussion. Because you know, if it's not ordained by the words of the Most High, it's not the truth. So you believe, and that's how you get established. People want reputations for all the wrong things. But you know what you want to have a reputation for? People won't bring foolishness your way. And they be like, yo, man, we believe this, but don't go over there in 1907, man, because all they going to say is prove it. Show it. In his laws, in his testimonies. Don't go over there, man. Don't go over there. Because they going to just reject what you got to say. That's all they want to talk about is show me this. Show me everything ain't in the book, man. That's how they going to approach it. But you know why they wouldn't bring it to you? Because you believe in Yahweh. And he established it. And now you believe in his prophets. Now you believe in his messengers. That's why you prospering. But you know what the people go, the naysayers, the confused ones, they going to say something about that. Oh, you over there following the man. All he did was read out the book. Yeah, the same person that reading out the book was a vehicle used to wake you up, to wake me up. But time you disagree, now you want to get off of the reservation, and now you want to act like Yahweh going to form a relationship with you. Why? Because you questioning everything through ignorance. Our people are too confused to be as combative as we are. It's like when you argue, it's like if you're trying to argue with a baby. They can't even formulate words, but you try to have a full-blown argument with them. The baby gonna stop and probably look at you like, why are you arguing with me? I can't even formulate words. But I see people will argue and complain with fools all day long. For what? These people not established, and they not prospering. Because they arguing about the same old things every day. And they hoping to get into it with the same people every day. See, when you go to the house of wisdom, when we hearken to the instructions of Yahweh, we no longer have confusion of face. But you're one of the main resources of having confusion of face upon you, of having confusion of face in your midst. This is the number one reason why people are so confused today. Turn with me to the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter. In the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter, and the 6th verse, it reads, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing you have forgotten the law of Yahweh, the law of your Elohim. I will also forget your children." Our people don't even remember the law of Yahweh, don't even follow the law of Yahweh, but they want to be priests. They want to be ministers. They want to be messengers. Talk about putting the cart before the horse. And that's all they doing is getting in front of a camera, preaching confusion, bringing confusion, because they haven't learned the foundation in the first place. And when you try to bring it to them, they're going to reject it, as the vast majority of the people will reject it. And that's why we being destroyed. You want to know why you voting and your purposes are disappointed? You want to know why you're marching and the same things keep happening to you? You want to know why you keep banging your head up against the rock, praying to this false idol and nothing's happening? You want to know why you praying to this crucifix and absolutely no result is happening? It's because you're rejecting knowledge. Because as soon as someone try to show you that that's wrong, that you're in error, that that's not the ways of Yah, you're going to reject it. And that's why we're being destroyed to this very day. This is why confusion is upon us. This is why confusion is upon our faces, because we are rejecting knowledge. Turn with me to the book of Proverbs, the 26th division. And the people will come out of this idolatry. They will come out of all this confusion. And one thing will clip them up, and they would go right back to that life. Because they feel like Yahweh didn't return like how they wanted him to return. Yahweh didn't give them the answer that they wanted to seek. And this is a condition that our people are going through. But this is a condition that was prophesied by one of the wisest men on the face of this earth, King Solomon. In the book of Proverbs, the 26th division, I'm going to read the 11th and 12th verses. And it reads, "As a dog returns to his vomit, so does a fool return to his folly." So anytime someone say, "Man, I serve Yahweh, and I lost my house, I lost my wife, I lost my children, I lost my mind, man, I'm going right back to church because at least I ain't have to put up with this." Well, that's expected, because as a dog returns to his vomit, so does a fool return back to his folly. So all the fool is going to return back is to their foolishness. You have some people that's done came into the sanctuaries of Yahweh, and as long as they was following the words of Yahweh, all they was doing was being promoted. People used to come to them and ask them for counsel. People wanted to be a family man like they were family men. People wanted to follow after them. But they said, "Well, you know what? I'm not keeping that Sabbath day no more. I'm not keeping those laws anymore. That they say you can't keep, but ask them did they used to keep them. And they'll say, yeah, I used to. But I found out something different. No, all you found out is how to return back to your vomit, fool. Because as a dog returns to his vomit, so will a fool to his folly. And verse 12, it says, see, thou a man wise in his own conceit. There is more hope for a fool than of him. Yeah, they calling their own deceit. They know it's not there in the scriptures, but this is cool anyway. They know it's not in the scriptures, but this is a nice little philosophy that I've come up with. And it's more hope for a fool than for them. Being wise in your own conceit, even a foolish man, it'll be more hope. Because at least a fool, they may not be aware of the fact that they're a fool until they get some wisdom, until they get some understanding, until they get some knowledge. Then they can say, man, I was a fool. But like, yeah, you was, and so was I. But praise the mighty Yah, he brought us out of this. But a fool, a man in his wise in his own conceit, they'll never see it. You can't tell a man wise in his own conceit when does the day start, because they already know. You can't tell a man wise in his own conceit how many days in the month there is, because they in their own conceit. You can't tell them how many months is in the year, because they wise in their own conceit. And you can ask them a question plainly, and they'll agree with it. But once they find out you trying to prove a point, will turn around and disagree with it. That's an individual wise in their own conceit. Because they rather look wrong and alone than be strong and stand with Yah's people. That's someone being wise in their own conceit. So no wonder there's more hope for a fool. Because even a fool will be like, I'm a fool, so what you say sound right, so I'm going to check it out. But this is the condition that our people are in today. Because confusion of face belongs unto us. And why is there confusion? And when there's confusion, do we humble ourselves and seek Yah? Do we humble ourselves and go to Yahweh? Do we humble ourselves and go to your brother and sister and try to seek a way out of this confusion? Or do you just turn up the pride one more notch and go to people that you know don't serve Yahweh and get instructions and counsel from them? That's why Yahweh said this in the book of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter. In the book of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, I'm going to read the very first verse. And it reads, hear you the words which Yahweh speaks unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the ways of the heathens, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them. And our people will say this, and they will read the third verse, and they will poke their chin out, poke their chest out, because they think that it's just talking about verse 3. They think that, well, I don't got no Christmas tree in my house, so I ain't learned the ways of the heathens. I don't celebrate New Year's in the dead of the winter, so I'm not learning the ways of the heathens. And then be like, well, what day of the month is it? You mean what day of the moon is it? Be like, hold on, say that again. What day of the what? What day of the moon is it? Be like, you do know the moon is a light by what? It's a light by night. So repeat that sentence again. What day of the moon is it? They don't even know how confused they are. And they don't even know that they done learned this ways from the heathens. They think that this stuff come from the Most High. Until you ask them, show where the Most High ordains this. And they can't do it. Show where the Most High said to do this. Show where the Most High spoke about phases anytime in the scriptures. And they can't show it to you. And they just wise in their own conceit. Because really they confused. That's why they'll run to their they'll run to their leaders. Because they don't want to have this discussion honestly. And they figure, well, if I just cut the conversation short, I won't show how foolish I am. Yes, you do. Because anytime you out there witnessing and you don't have no laws or no testimonies, you're not showing the world that you light and bright. You showing the world that you just dark and confused. You just dwelling in the abyss of darkness. And when are you going to wake up? When are you going to try to seek to come out of this condition? When you going to realize that we're going to have to humble ourselves before the Most High to get up out of this condition? But as long as you think you know it all, as long as you think that you can have served the Most High, and that you can add to his words and diminish from his words at any given moment, as long as you think you don't even have to seek out the book of Yah, well, then you will forever have confusion of face upon you. Turn with me to the book of Jeremiah, the 8th chapter. Because our people think that they some of the wisest. Our people think that they some of the brightest. But really, in actuality, in all reality, keeping it all the way real, we don't even have as much knowledge as a beast. We don't even have as much knowledge as a bird. And Yahweh showed this in the book of Jeremiah, the 8th chapter. And I'm going to begin reading at the 6th verse. And it reads, I hearkened and heard, but they spake not aright. No man repented him of his wickedness, saying, what have I done? Everyone turned to his course as the horse rushed into the battle. But yea, the stork in the heaven knows her appointed times. And the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. But my people know not the judgment of Yahweh. Even a stork, even a turtle, even a crane, even a swallow know the judgment. But Yahweh's people don't know the judgment of Yah. Don't know the judgment of Yah. And that's why it says in verse 8, how do you say we are wise? And the law of Yahweh is with us. Lo, certainly in vain made he it, and the pen of the scribes is in vain. So it's like Yahweh, he didn't waste his time, but he might as well have not even wrote anything. He might as well not had the scribes write anything, because our people not hearkening to it. Our people are not listening to it. Our people are not following after it, because they too busy following after the nations. And the nations are not hearkening to it. But Yahweh said if we would have went to the nations and told them this, they would hearken. So even at the end of the day, they even got more sense than we got. Because our people, they won't hearken. Our people, they won't follow. Our people, they won't listen. They won't shema. And that's why it says, how do you say we are wise and the law? How you going to tell me that the law of Yahweh is with you and you say we can't keep the law? You can't keep the Sabbath. You can't pay tithes. How you going to say the law of Yahweh is with you and all you got to do is just lay in bed with a woman and sleep with her and y'all married? Where is this a law at? Where is this a testimony? That's why it's so much confusion. That's why it's certain acts. Yahweh said, look, a man can't lay with a beast. And if he does lay with a beast, him and the beast have to be put to death. Why? Because it is confusion. We like people share videos with babies coming out. They got sheep faces, human legs, but arms that's like beasts. This is just outright confusion. And our people revel so much in confusion that they think that this is actually cool. They think that this is actually a characteristic. But really, all this is leaving the nation compromised, leading us further into destruction. Turn with me to the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter. In the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, I'm going to begin reading at the 8th verse. And it reads, "And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my master, what shall be the end of these things?" See, Daniel knew that this revelation was too high for him. So he didn't act surprised. He didn't act prideful. He didn't go around and saying, yeah, I get it. But really, I don't get it. No, he humbled himself and said, I don't understand this. And look at what the messenger of Yahweh said to him. And he said, "Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end." And then it says, "Many shall be purified and made white and tried. But the wicked shall do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand." Now, why will the wicked not understand? Because the wicked is not even seeking understanding. Because the wicked is not even seeking wisdom. Because the wicked is too busy rebelling against the Most High. But those that consider, those that lay it to heart, and those that are seeking the Most High, they're going to be increased. They're going to get a blessing, even though they're going to be tried, even though they're going to be purified, but they're going to know why they're being tried. They're going to know they're going to know that they're being purified, because they're going to know that this is the judgment of Yahweh. So even though you may not know what's going to happen to you, you may not know what's going to happen to the nation, but what you do know is that the nation is going to be tried. And that the nation is going to be put through the purification of your fire. That's what you do know. Because you know and believe and understand in Yahweh. But the wicked, they think that this is just Yah just picking on them. This is just Yah throwing salt in their game. And they gonna get and they gonna not just consider stop being wicked, they gonna turn up the wickedness. And that's why they're going to go further and further into the abyss of darkness, because they won't understand. Because they won't do one thing that could turn this whole confusion of face around. And that's recorded in the book of Isaiah, the 1st chapter. In the book of Isaiah, the 1st chapter, I'm going to start reading at the 2nd verse. Isaiah 1 verse 2 reads, "Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahweh hath spoken, and I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. The ox knows his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Yisrael does not know. My people don't consider." That's right. we don't even consider. We don't even consider that the Most High is saying that an ox and a jackass knows more than we do. Because at least an ox knows his owner and the ass his master's crib, but we don't even know our Elohim. But then listen to the judgment that Yahweh said in the 4th verse. It says, "Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children are corrupters. They have forsaken Yahweh. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backwards." And that's exactly what confusion of face looks like. It makes you go all the way backwards. It turns you from the elite to the bottom of the barrel. It turns you from one of the brightest to one of the most that dwells in darkness. And you seeing that in our people every day. That's why these doctrines and these ideologies and these ways that's coming out that may seem new to some, but there's nothing new under the sun. Our people been rebelling against the Most High. The nations have been rebelling against the Most High. And it is because of this, Yahweh said we've gone all the way backwards, because that's all that's left for you. It's to go all the way backwards. You're not going to rebel against the Most High and think that you're going to progress in wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. You're not going to rebel against the law of Yahweh and think you're going to get a greater understanding of the law of Yahweh. You're not going to speak against Yahweh's servants and then think that a blessing is coming upon you to be increased in wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. No, all that's going to happen is you're going to go backwards. That's the only judgment for you, is to go backwards. And you can see it in the people. People that you thought was bright. You're like, man, you're falling back. You don't know that no more? You don't follow after that no more? What is you talking about? It's in the people every single day. That's why confusion of faces is upon the people. Because we're rebelling against the Most High. Because we don't even have the consideration to know that we're rebelling and revolting against the Most High. Because if we did, then maybe we could turn the wheels and humble ourselves before the Most High and start moving forward. Our people are following after ways that's not of the Most High. They following after doctrines that's not of the Most High. They read in the book and not getting the understanding from the Most High. They lean into their own understanding, but they think that you lean into your own understanding when all you doing is telling them exactly what Yah said. And they will tell you that that's your way of seeing it. That's how you see it. But that's not how it was written in Hebrew. Fool, you didn't know Hebrew. You didn't even know who you was a few years ago. Now you want to swear by Hebrew. Try getting into the stranger language first before you try to break down and decipher what it is in Hebrew. But our people would do this. And they can speak Hebrew, and they can talk Hebrew and write Hebrew, and then ask him the name of the Most High. Well, his name is Lord. I thought you spoke Hebrew. Going all the way backwards. When does a day start? A day starts in the evening. Going all the way backwards. What good is it to learn your native tongue if all your native tongue is having you going back from the words of the Most High? Our people not even laying this into consideration. Our people are not even laying this to heart. And that's why it was beautiful when Mowreh IshYAH taught last night. The difference between the congregation and the camp. See, this is why Yahweh said that he wanted the camp to not dwell near the tabernacle. Because we were so rebellious. Because we were so stiff-necked. Because we were so hard-hearted. We had to dwell far away from the tabernacle. Because that's a holy place. Now today, people come into the sanctuary to raise hell. You come into the sanctuary, and that's all you want to do is talk, even though wisdom advises you to keep your foot when you enter into the house of Yah. But that's all you want to do is talk. All you want to do is speak and be heard. And because of this, you're not taking into consideration all your works. And if you keep staying in that spirit, then all you will see yourself going is backwards. And then you have some people that say, well, look, I don't have to go to any sanctuary. Yahweh can teach me. And what Yahweh done taught me is I don't got to keep the law in captivity. Because I can't get clean. You can't keep the Sabbath. You can't keep none of the laws. And they just go all the way backwards. And this is how you know this eventually is the state that they'll land themselves in. In the book of Proverbs, the 28th chapter. And in the book of Proverbs, the 28th chapter and the 9th verse, it reads, he that turns away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayers shall be an abomination. See, that's one of the sacrifices that we got to make unto Yahweh. To hear, to hearken, to do, to execute. But when you refuse to do this, when you refuse to even hear the laws of Yah, man, even your prayers are an abomination. So no wonder there's no wisdom, understanding the counsel against Yahweh. Because as soon as you try to come up against it, who are you going to pray to? Your prayers are an abomination. How are you going to pray to the Most High to give you wisdom, understanding the knowledge to speak words against his words? It's outright foolishness. And this is why confusion of face belongs unto us. Turn with me to the book of Jeremiah, the 7th chapter. And in the book of Jeremiah, the 7th chapter, I'm going to start reading at the 7th verse. And it reads, then will I cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers, forever and ever. Behold, you trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will you steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto this idol, and walk after the deities whom you knew not, and come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? And that's what you're saying when you claiming Christianity. That's what you're saying when you're claiming Islam. That's what you're claiming when you're claiming Rastafarianism. You saying that Yahweh done delivered you to commit and do all these abominations. And that's why there's so much confusion upon your face. Because you done learned the wrong ways. You haven't learned the ways of holiness. You haven't learned the ways of Yah. All you have learned is confusion. That's why confusion is on your face. That's why confusion is in your works. That's why confusion is in your midst. All these things will remain in your midst when you act stout-hearted against the Most High. And it says in verse 17 of the same chapter, it says, see you not when they do in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem, the children gather wood and the fathers kindle the fire And the women knead their dough to make cakes to the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other deities, that they may provoke me in anger. Do they provoke me to anger, saith Yahweh? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? That's all you doing. You think that you showing the Most High, you'll show the Most High not to deliver you. I'll just start serving another God, but all that's going to bring to you is confusion of face, to your own face. I'll show Yahweh. I will no longer come to a Sabbath class. All you doing is showing confusion to your own face. Man, I won't spend $1. I won't pay no tithes. I won't do none of these statues. All you doing is having confusion of your own face. Because when we rebel against the Most High, when we refuse to hearken to the words of the Most High, when we refuse to hearken to the messengers that's sent by the Most High, that bear his words, then that's all that's taking place. Is the confusion will only be on our faces. And don't think that you got an escape, because they was doing this in the land. So for all these people that saying, well, man, we don't got to keep the law till we get in the land. We don't have to do this until we get in the land. Well, what do you think was being done in the land? Well, we're reading about it. And Yahweh said this won't happen no more. Yahweh said that this will take place no more. See, there will no longer be confusion. See, I gave you a choice. I gave you a choice between life and death, good and evil, light and darkness. And you kept making the wrong choices. So you know what? I'm going to deliver you out of captivity, but I'm going to put my law in your inward parts. So you won't have no choice but to keep my law. Because the alternative will literally be exactly what the alternative is now. Death. And you will be confused all the way to the grave. And don't use the scapegoat of, well, I was listening to the white man. I was hearkening to the Gentiles. I was listening to the nations. Man, it's the nations that did this. The nations that did that. Don't you know all you got to do is know, believe, and understand that Yahweh is Elohim, and the nations will come to you, and they will say this in the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, the 16th chapter. It don't matter what nations you in the midst of, whether you in the Isles of the Gentiles, whether you in Egypt, whether you in Russia, whether you in Europe, it don't matter where you are, the nations will come to you once you start confirming the words of Yahweh, dedicating the words to Yahweh. The confusion of face will come up off of you. The spirit of confusion will come up off of you. And the nations will see that you no longer confused. The nations will see that you truly are the people of Yahweh. The nations will see that Yahweh did give you his laws, statutes, and judgments. And the nations will come and bow to you, and they will say this in the book of Jeremiah, the 16th chapter and the 19th verse. It says, "O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto you from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit." That's what the nations will say to you. They're going to say, look, we know we taught you about Christianity. That's because we inherited lies. We know we taught you Islam, but that's because we inherited lies. But now we see that Yahweh is the true and only Elohim. So not only will confusion of face be taken from the nation of Israel, but confusion of face will be taken off of the nations. They oppress because they confused. They do violent acts because they're confused. They foolish. And what do you think confusion is? Foolishness. That's why Yahweh said the law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimonies of Yahweh are sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of Yahweh are right, rejoicing in the heart. The commandments of Yahweh is pure, enlightening the eyes. And the fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. And the judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. This is how we would get the confusion up off of us, my people. This is how we shake this off of us, by humbling ourselves before the Most High. Turn with me to the book of Jeremiah, the 6th chapter. In Jeremiah, the 6th chapter, I'm going to read the 16th verse. It reads, "Thus saith Yahweh, stand you in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, and where is the good way, and walk therein, and you shall find rest for your souls. But the confusion of face, the foolish, the wicked, they say we will not walk therein." But if you want this confusion off of you, this rebelliousness off of you, then get the old path. And that's all you see today is people rising up trying to create a new path. Try to create ways that's not of Yahweh. That's a new path. You want to think that the Sabbath day floats? You know that that's a new path. You think that a day begins in the evening? You know that that's a new path. You want to think that there's someone that's beside the Most High? That's a new path. You want to say that we can't keep the laws? Man, you telling me to walk a new path. But Yahweh said, ask for the old path and walk therein. If it was good enough for Abraham, good enough for Isaac, and good enough for Yaakov, then it's good enough for Obadiah. And it's good enough for you. This old path. Because this old path is faithful. And it doesn't sink. It doesn't stall. And it doesn't collapse. And if you want to know what the old path is, if you want to read about the old path is, there's only one place you're going to find it. And that's the book of Yahweh. And that's why he said this in the book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter. In the book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter, and the 16th verse, it reads, "Seek ye out of the book of Yah, and read, for no one of these shall fail, and none shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it has gathered them. And he hath cast the lot for them, and his hands have divided it unto them by line. And they shall possess it forever, from generation to generation shall they dwell therein." So Yahweh says, seek out the book of Yahweh. This is our inheritance. This is part of our inheritance. You know why it won't fail. You know why it won't falter. You know why it won't fail. Because it's been passed down from generation to generation. No wonder you can go in most of your grandparents' house and see these same scriptures and read these same words. Because none of them will fail. And none of them won't they mate. No wonder if you talk to our people that's been keeping the law of past and you giving them the law, statutes, and judgments, they can say, well, you 100% right. Because this is the path that will not fail. If you want to get this confusion to face up off of you, then seek out of the book of Yahweh and read. Turn with me to the book of Isaiah, the 59th chapter. In the book of Isaiah, the 59th chapter, and the very first verse, it reads, Behold, Yah's hand is not shortened, that it cannot save, neither is his ear heavy, that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your Elohim, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. For your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies, and your tongue have muttered perverseness. And none calls for justice, nor any pleaded for the truth. And they trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity. And they hatch cockatrice eggs, and weave the spider's web. And he that eateth of their egg dieth, and that which is crushed breaks out into a viper. Their web shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the acts of violence is in their hands. Their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. And their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. But the way of peace they know not, and there is no judge in their goings. And they have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goes therein shall not know peace. Therefore is judgment far from us, neither does justice overtake us. We wait for light, but behold obscurity, for brightness, but we walk in darkness. And this is how confusion of face looks when you rebel against the word of Yahweh. Because Yahweh, all the ways of Yahweh is judgment. All the ways of Yahweh is light. And if you want to learn how to shine bright, if you want to learn how to get the spirit of confusion from off of you, then you must seek out the book of Yahweh. Turn with me to the book of Psalms, the 110th chapter. And excuse me, that's Psalms 111. In the book of Psalms, the 111th division, and the 10th verse. Why 10? Because it's in the order of 3. This is for Yahweh's servant. This is for Yahweh's messenger on earth. It says the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and a good understanding have all they that do his commandments, and his praise endures forever. So if you want this confusion of face removed off of you, if you want this gross darkness taken off of you, if you want to start prospering, if you want to start being established, if you want to really start having the Most High communicate with you in a way that you know that Yahweh is communicating with you, because it's going to be able to be established and confirmed through his words, then you have to humble yourself and start keeping the laws and the way of Yah. Start seeking wisdom daily. Seek understanding daily. Seek to do righteousness daily. Seek to be meek daily. Seek judgment daily. Seek the face of Yahweh daily. Seek the laws, statutes, and judgments daily. Seek out of the book of Yahweh and read daily. And I can assure you, if you do these things, if we do these things, then confusion of face will no longer be long on the faces of the servants of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. But we will have wisdom, understanding, and the knowledge of the Holy One of Israel, whose name alone is Yahweh. So it's imperative that we seek Yah and hearken to his instructions, and we will find life therein. And we will no longer have upon us confusion of face. So until tomorrow, Yahweh loves you, and so do we at the house of Israel. Shalom.
Only through you, Yah, I will wait to see another day. And only through you, Yah, I will kneel on my knees to pray. And only through you, Yah, I will receive a blessing. Only through you, Yah, I will praise your holy name. Praise your holy name. Praise your holy name. Praise your holy name. I can see the many blessings you've bestowed on me, on me, on me. And I can see the everlasting light that you have shined on me. Shine on me. So righteous and true, you are so heavenly. You are the King of my heart, and I love you all so much, Almighty. Only through you, Yah, I will wait to see another day. And only through you, Yah, I will kneel on my knees to pray. I will receive a blessing. Only through you, Yah, I will praise your holy